Hey fellow tankers, Mobius Y here with another World of Tanks console related video. Today's video is going to highlight some of the key changes that have occurred with update 3.5, namely with the changes to the game's physics, as well as the additions that have been put onto everybody's minimap giving additional information. So, one major thing to note with these changes to physics is that it's easier to climb hills and skirt around the edges of cliffs. Your tanks are less likely to get hung up on cliff walls when skirting along the edges of them. I know for myself that happened a lot where I would be trying to reposition, but because I just barely clipped the edge of a cliff, my tank would lose a lot of its speed. I'm sure some of you can relate, and it was a very annoying feature that would happen with the old physics, but that is no longer the case with these adapted physics. It should be easier to not only climb some cliff walls if they're not too steep, but also just maneuver alongside cliff walls right on the edges. Also, rocks can be vaulted over if they're small enough for your tank to simply jump over. If your tank is traveling at enough speed and runs into a rock, if the rock isn't too big, your tank actually can simply point its nose upwards and just go right over it. You will wind up losing quite a bit of speed when this happens though. Now with the new e-brake feature, this allows you to make quick turns and can bring the front of a tank around very fast. Unlike normal high-speed turns though, these e-brake turns do kill a lot of your tank's speed. So it's important to use this sparingly and wisely, as a quick e-brake turn can wind up making you lose all your speed and allowing the enemy team to get easy shots on you when you're not moving. Running into enemy tanks at high speed still causes damage to your tank's HP and potentially destroys the tank's tracks, so there's not much change there. Now, a small tank can still vault over very small rocks, however, larger rocks will still pose a problem and they will kill lots of speed. Either your tank will simply stop dead in its tracks like it used to if the rock is extremely big, or it will still try to climb over it after it's lost a lot of its speed. Larger tanks will have a much easier time traversing over small and medium-sized rocks, but they will also lose a lot of speed and mobility until they've cleared over these rocks. Faster, lighter tanks are capable of flipping themselves over if hitting a bump or an obstacle at high speeds. This can also sometimes happen during e-brake turns. Flipped tanks that are on the top or the side will right themselves after 10 seconds. As soon as your tank winds up on its side or on the top of itself and it cannot move, the timer for 10 seconds appears right in the middle of the screen. Once that timer hits 0, the tank will self-right itself and you can continue moving. Now this self-righting mechanic still applies even if pinned by a tank up against a wall, whether it be a friendly or an enemy tank that is doing the pinning. Now, if a tank lands on top of an enemy, both tanks will still take damage over time. It won't be an instant large amount of HP that is taken off, but instead it'll be small ticks of HP taken off very rapidly of each tank. A destroyed tank's shell that is sitting on top of another tank will still continue to cause damage as well until the tank underneath is destroyed. Faster, lighter tanks can still get air and jump off the ground, and if the landing is really awkward, they'll take damage. Also, sometimes the landing can cause the tank to oddly bounce, like in this clip from my friend Rest in Peace. Lastly, a tank traveling at high speed will maintain its momentum after getting tracked. Take a look at this clip from my buddy Abiotic Hollow. As you can see, the tank that was tracked turned in the direction of the track that was destroyed and did not lose momentum. Before, if your tank's tracks were destroyed, your tank would simply stop in its place no matter how quickly it was moving, for the most part. Now let's talk about the minimap. Note that the compass minimap has been changed and shows much more of the battlefield around you, so you have a little bit more situational awareness of the overall battlefield. However, it is a bit of an odd change that I personally don't like, as it shows a less detailed view of what's going on directly around you. Now on the minimap, the white line extending from your tank is your gun line, and this indicates where your tank's gun, and by extension your tank's turret, are pointed. Also, the large dotted circle represents what's called your detection range. Enemies would have to be positioned within this detection range circle in order to detect you and light you up on the map for their whole team. This detection range circle takes into account your tank's camouflage rating, including any camouflage skills your crew has learned, and if you have a camo net equipped, and if it is active. This detection range circle does not take into account the view range and spotting capabilities of the enemy tanks on the other team.
I'm on the rock right at...
Now this blue cone on the minimap is your view range cone, which represents the direction your camera is facing. This blue cone narrows significantly when you are in sniper mode, since it shows your on-screen field of view with the camera.
You know you can drive forward.
Now the length of the cone extending from your tank's position is affected by your view range stat, as well as any skills your crew has learned, and whether you have the equipment coated optics or binocular telescope equipped and active. The edge of the blue cone is your maximum view range and is the furthest distance you can detect enemies on the other team. Now both the blue view range cone and the large dotted detection circle will change size depending on your tank's movements and whether or not you have binocular telescope or camo net equipped, and when those pieces of equipment take effect. Now remember that the view range extends in all directions around you, not just where the blue cone is pointing. The blue cone simply represents the current field of view on your screen. However, the maximum view range of your tank extends in 360 degrees around your tank. This means that enemies can still be spotted if your tank is close enough, even if the blue view range cone is not pointed at them. It is not a requirement in order to spot enemy targets. Now, one last thing of note about this latest update is that an odd situation occurs which causes shots to not register when tanks are face-hugging each other. I'm personally not sure if this is a bug or if it's intended, but I do know that there have been a lot of complaints about it, so it is not simply an isolated incident like in this clip from my buddy Abiotic Hollow. It has been mentioned by other people on the forums as well. As I said, I'm not sure if it's a bug or if it's some kind of intentional gimmick. Just be aware that it can happen in-game. So that's a really brief summation of the changes that happened in the most recent update on World of Tanks console with update 3.5, looking at some of the key changes in the physics as well as some of the additional information that is displayed on your minimap. I hope you found this video informational and helpful. This has been Mobius Y, and I'll see you on the battlefield or in my next video. As always, happy tanking.
If I don't die, that is.